In sports, winning is everything. Or so we're told. But what if we told you the greatest moments don't come from trophies, but from kindness? Even in a world built on competition, humanity finds a way to shine through. These athletes spent their whole lives fighting to be the best, but when the moment came, they chose respect over rivalry. Today, we're counting down the 10 most beautiful and respectful moments in sports moments. So pure, they'll completely change how you see the game. But before the match begins, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon, because trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of what's coming. He broke down, but a rival refused to leave him behind. In the middle of a high-stakes race, one rider's motorbike gave out. Just like that, his dream of finishing, let alone winning, came to a screeching halt. With no one around to help, and the clock ticking, he turned to the only people still on the track, his competitors. Raising his hand in desperation, he hoped for something. Anything. That's when the unthinkable happened. A fellow racer hit the brakes, circled back, and began pushing his rival's bike forward. In a sport where milliseconds define champions, this rider sacrificed his own shot at glory just to help another finish. Because in that moment, the only thing greater than winning was being human. 30 million euros. But he still chose compassion. Cristiano Ronaldo earns over 30 million euros a year and is watched by millions across the globe. But when a rival collapsed during a match, none of that mattered. Without hesitation, Ronaldo walked over, lifted the injured player, and helped him off the field himself. He didn't wait for medics, didn't ask for applause, he simply acted. In a world obsessed with stats and stardom, this moment stood out. Because despite the fame and fortune, Ronaldo showed what it really means to be a role model. Compassion without cameras. He couldn't stand, so his opponent lifted him. The fight was over, but the pain wasn't. One fighter stood tall, victorious. The other could barely sit up, let alone walk. Bloodied and battered, he collapsed in the corner, trying to breathe. And instead of walking away in triumph, the winner turned around and picked him up. He draped the man's arm over his shoulder and helped him to safety. No fanfare, no ego, just respect. Because in that ring, they weren't enemies. They were warriors, and warriors lift each other up. A boy with a dream, and a legend who answered it. All this young boy ever wanted was to play football, not in a stadium, not for glory, just a simple game with someone who inspired him. But what he got was beyond imagination. Chad Johnson, an NFL legend, didn't just show up. He played with the boy one-on-one, giving him the full experience, no soft passes, no pity, just real football. For a few unforgettable minutes, that boy wasn't a fan, he was a teammate. And in those brief moments, a dream became real. Took his dream, but not his finish. He had trained for years, dreaming of Olympic gold. But just meters from the finish line, tragedy struck. A devastating injury brought him to his knees. He tried to stand, failed, tried again, but then, from the stands, someone jumped the barrier. It was his father. Pushing past officials, he ran straight to his son, wrapped his arm around him, and together, step by step, they finished the race. No medal was awarded, but it didn't matter. That moment became more iconic than any podium finish because it was a story of love, pain, and unbreakable support. He beat the greatest and still showed who the legend was. Justin Gatlin spent his whole career chasing one goal: to beat the fastest man alive, Usain Bolt. And one day, he finally did it. He crossed the finish line first. The world gasped, but Gatlin didn't throw his arms up in celebration. He didn't scream or gloat. He walked over to Bolt, looked him in the eyes, and bowed. Because even in victory, Gatlin knew this man changed the sport forever. He may have won the race, but Bolt was, and always would be, the legend. She broke down in tears. And Ronaldo stepped in. She screamed, cried, and shook, overwhelmed at seeing her idol, Cristiano Ronaldo. Security rushed in, but Ronaldo didn't back away. He calmly held her hand, trying to ease her emotions. In that moment, he wasn't a superstar, just a kind soul giving comfort. True greatness isn't always about scoring sometimes, it's about stopping. Home, he carried his son through the impossible. Rick's son had cerebral palsy. A triathlon seemed impossible. So Rick made it possible. He pulled him through water, pedaled with him on a bike, and ran with him in a wheelchair. Together, they crossed the finish line, father and son, against every odd. Because love doesn't listen to limits, out of gas but never out of support. He had just won his very first NASCAR race, a dream come true. But on the way to the podium, his car ran out of fuel. He was stuck, feet from the moment he'd waited his whole life for. That's when Jimmy Johnson pulled up behind him and gave him a push. Not for show, not for credit, just because it was the right thing to do. In that instant, a rival became a teammate. He couldn't walk, but he entered the ring anyway. He was just 12 and paralyzed. Fighting in a real match was something he'd only imagined. The world told him he couldn't, but someone believed he could. What happened next was hard to watch, but impossible to forget. No, he couldn't win. No, he couldn't stand. But he entered the ring, threw punches, and smiled through tears. Because sometimes, showing up is the greatest fight of all. When the game stopped, and kindness took over. In June 2015, a runner collapsed just 18 meters from the finish line. Her body had given out. But instead of racing past her, her competitors did something beautiful. They stopped and helped her. Just like Usain Bolt, who was accidentally taken down by a cameraman mid-celebration. It could have ended in court for the $32 million sprinter. Instead, Bolt laughed, and they became friends. During another emotional moment, an ambulance stormed the field, and players from both teams rushed to help. Because sometimes, the match doesn't matter, saving a life does. McGregor, fresh off a win, didn't soak in the crowd's cheers. He walked straight to his opponent to comfort him. And Ronaldo, after hitting a fan in the face with a ball, he didn't ignore it. He gave the boy a heartfelt gift. From sharing poles in a vaulting final, to one runner finishing on one leg, with others checking on her instead of chasing medals, these moments prove something powerful. Real champions don't just win, they lift others while doing it. These athletes chose humanity over victory. She took a spike straight to the face and nearly broke down, but before a single tear could fall, her coach and teammates rushed in. They surrounded her, lifted her up, and refused to let her quit. On another track, a group of runners didn't compete for medals. They ran to honor a teammate who'd never race with them again. Meanwhile, Neymar gave away his cleats like it was nothing, but to that fan, it was everything. Suddenly, he was being interviewed like a pro. A 4-year-old boy ran onto the rugby field just to see his heroes and left as part of the team. And one lucky ball boy? He didn't just get a photo with Ronaldo, he became part of football history, all thanks to one kind gesture. These are the moments that remind us, respect always outshines the scoreboard. If one of these stories moved you, tell us in the comments and say, I want part 2 if you're ready for more.